It's a beautiful day to you, our lovely and smart real estate investors, both at home and also in diaspora. I'm super delighted to be here on your screen today. I want to say a very big thank you to everybody, eh, to all our viewers. Thank you for all those comments, those inspiring comments. I also want to say a very big thank you. We appreciate everything. We want to use this opportunity to thank all our viewers, all our subscribers, the people that have been supporting Property Matters. This special episode is dedicated to you. Thank you very much. We appreciate everything you're doing for us. In case you're coming across this channel for the first time, this is Property Matters. This is where we talk about the origin of real estate investment, the pinnacle of real estate investment, and everything you need to know. We discuss the R to Z of real estate investment. Okay, so we've done an elaborate episode on Ekpe. We've done an elaborate episode on Ibeju Lekki. We've done an elaborate episode on the Fort Mainland Bridge. We've done an elaborate episode on how to identify a fraudulent real estate developer. We've done an elaborate episode on how to unravel a land with a fake acquisition document, fake governor's consent document, and fake CFO document. We've done an extensive episode on how to identify a manipulative and a fraudulent real estate transaction. Everything we've done here on Property Matters is actually composed so that you can understand how the Nigerian real estate market works. It doesn't matter whether in abroad or whether in Nigeria. Property Matters will give you all the necessary information you need to know so that you will not throw money into thin air. I'll be back immediately after this short commercial. Kindly stay tuned. I'll be back. It's a beautiful day to you, our lovely and smart real estate investors, both at home and also in diaspora. This is King's Court Property, reporting live from the beautiful city of Lagos, the Lekki Expressway, and I'm here to show you a beautiful architectural edifice called Tiwa Gardens. Of course, I know you've seen this video, so it's not so surprising, but one beautiful thing I am here to verify basically is the extent of development that has been done here. Presently, Tiwa is the most affordable property facing the express. So don't doubt the quality of this estate and don't doubt the integrity of the developer, because the developers have been vetted and of course they are known for quality. The beautiful thing about this property is that it is just 7 minutes away from the airport. Last week we went to do some price valuation of the properties that is selling, of course, if they are available at the Ikeja airport, and we found out that a 400 square meter of land, simply because it's very close to the airport, is selling for 400 million. So this property is available in different square meters. We have commercial and residential. So in case as you can see, it's facing the Lekki Expressway. So in case you want to know more about this property, give me a call. Have a nice day. All right, you're welcome back. Last week we started a topic on why you need to diversify. Of course, time did not afford me the luxury of giving an extensive explanation, but to an extent I've been able to establish the need why you need to diversify your real estate investments. I've talked about different categories of investments. I've also established reasons why it is important to have your real estate investments at multiple locations. So today I'm going to be talking about where you should pitch your real estate investment and how it should be done. One of the things I've established, or I've of course come to realize in this our multiple real estate industry basically, is that we have different actors, we have different players, and we have different policies maker in our industry. Talking about diversification, what do you need to put into consideration when you want to diversify? Why is it very important to spread your real estate investment across different locations in Lagos, Nigeria? Last week, I talked about considering other important locations. Like for instance, for some of our investors who have properties at Muwe Ofada, those who have at, of course, that Ekpe Ijebu, the axis of Lagos, those who have at, Ofada and different locations, your real estate investment will also boom. Only for the fact that you need to understand that investments move with trends, and of course it moves with happenings. And what are those things that discover or that makes your real estate investment grow over time? The moment government intend or government start to expand infrastructural development towards that location, your investment over time will grow. But today, Because of our time, we're going to focus on where you should how you should diversify and the important locations you should look at. Last week I was talking about the reason why you need to have properties at the Ayetoro scheme. If you can recall vividly, you will understand that I did an elaborate, video on the proposed international airport. Now, I've received a lot of comments and I've also received a lot of doubts from investors both at home and in diaspora. Of course, some of the observations that were raised by them, sometimes you can't just overlook or ignore what they've said. There's obviously, to an extent, an element of truth about their concerns. One of the major concerns I received from our real estate investors, more importantly those abroad, is that how true is the fact that they are going to construct an international airport in the Ayetoro axis of Ibeju Lekki. I also spoke with a man who said that Lagos or Nigeria basically are good at making promises without fulfilling. I understand our doubts and I understand our concerns. This obviously is a major indicator that you still love your dear country and you're also concerned about the infrastructural development. The very first thing I want our dear investors to know basically is that the airport project in Ibeju Lekki is no joke. And what I also want our dear investors to understand basically is that the airport project is going to be a government and private sector partnership. So it's not as if the Lagos state is going to single-handedly handle that project. No, it's a public and private sector partnership. And of course, many said that they don't see this international airport be delivered in 5 years' time. That obviously is not true. I'm very happy to announce to you, our smart investors, that the first phase, which is the major clearing of the site for the international airport, will commence by July this year. When you look at the rate at which the Epe Ijebu axis, because the Lekki Epe axis, the Bogije axis, and of course the way at which government is expanding road from Ajah to other parts of the island is a major indicator to show that government is really keen on the industrialization of the Ibeju Lekki, the Ajah, and the Lekki axis. So this is why you don't need to doubt. The Nigerian government have not been this keen on infrastructural development as we have it today. So this obviously is a clear indicator to understand that the airport project, though it may take a while, we know that it takes a while before an airport project can start, and of course before they can be fully completed. So as a smart investor, you should put an investment in the airport. In one of my videos, I spoke extensively on the kind of investment that you should do at the international airport axis. Now, the international airport axis, once it is completed, will be a major commercial area. We're going to have travelers from different parts of the country, and of course you also need to understand that the area will be busy, so the possibilities of cars and trucks flying those axes is very high, and a lot of people will be coming in that axis. There will be companies, there will be banks, there will be factories, there will be a lot of commercial activities. As a smart investor, I would recommend that the kind of investment you should pitch at the international airport is a commercial investment. Now, I've spoken with someone and the woman said that how can they be charging 50 million for a commercial properties in that axis? Now, you need to understand very well that once a land has a title, once the developer puts in the major infrastructures in that area, those infrastructures and the title of that property will automatically speed up. So your own indices of price and price valuation may not effectively, tally or correlate with what the developer is seeing as development. So the very first thing you need to understand is that if you are looking towards having an investment at the international airport axis, I will advise, according to my own commercial, of course I say commercial, according to my own professional recommendation, pitch a commercial investment. Now, a lot of people were talking about the price, a lot of people were talking about, I was doing some research recently and I found out that if you want to buy a property within the present international airport, the Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos, Nigeria, the cheapest you will see is 120 million. You will see properties of 350 million. You see property of 300 million. You see property that is way above hundreds of millions, and that is due to the fact that the Murtala International Airport is an investment hotspot zone. So people are ready to pay a fortune in order to pitch, their hotels, their restaurants, their guest houses, and the like. So what you have seen at Ikeja will also be replicated here at Ayetoro. So as an investor, your diversification process should put in mind or make an investment within the Ayetoro access. Remember, you can do a commercial property. For most times, a lot of people say, okay, fine, I can only afford residential. Of course, you can. Yeah, you can. But the thing is, the people who enjoy massive return on investment are people who have lands that is available for office spaces. In fact, I've seen instances whereby you can even lease your land to companies, banks, and of course, they erect structure on your land and they pay you rent. Just like a case I witnessed 2 years ago at Lekki Phase 1. If some smart family has a property at Lekki Phase 1, they allow the company to erect, a structure, and they're collecting 20 million naira annually on that property. That obviously is a smart. So when you have a land, don't always have the conception that you have to build, or don't allow, the cost of building or developing the land be a burden. You can give it out, for commercial, you can lease it, you can give it for car wash, you can give it to banks, you can lease it to, and they pay you good money for it. So the international airport, of course, it's a commercial properties are obviously pricey because of the economic advantages that they have over other plots of land. So you can put, an investment there. I'll be back maybe after this short commercial to look at other areas that you can also pitch your investment. Stay tuned and just relax. I'll be back. Locations that you should put in consideration when you're doing an investment or you want to diversify your real estate investment. I talked about some important things which are very crucial and necessary for to be put into consideration when doing property diversification. Now, for the fact that I encourage you to diversify, you should also understand that when you're diversifying, you need a professional to guide you on where and where not to diversify, which is very important. You see, when we do an analysis here on property matters, we do an extensive analysis so that you can understand what holds water, so that you won't be throwing your money into thin air. Now, other locations you can look at basically is that you can look at towards that free trade zone area. Now, the free trade zone area is some minutes away from the popular Akodo area of Ibeju Lekki. So if you want to do a property diversification at Akodo, now only few properties are with C of O at Akodo. So if you want to buy a property there, even if the property is gazetted, you should also buy with the agreement that the developer will process a governor's consent on the gazette. Yes, of course, if your property is gazetted, it is fine, it is fantastic, it is safe. But because of the fact that Lagos State government changes policy, it is always good to do what is necessary, even when there are not obvious signs of repercussions or danger. So the very best thing you should do basically is that. So if you want to, of course, you should have several investments at the free trade zone area. Now, the free trade zone area, when we're doing our location analysis, we discovered that, I think I said this before, that there's a coastal road that connects the free trade zone area down to Alaro City and down to the international airport access. So an investment in Akodo, the free trade zone area, will also be a fantastic idea. Of course, at this area, you can do a lot of residential properties because you see many people that have been working at the free trade zone, that have been working at the refinery and other projects. Those working at the deep sea port will definitely need residential apartments. If you're going for residential apartments, you can even do hotels and and reservation center, guest houses, and the likes. Now, when the president wanted to visit and commission the Dangote refinery project as at that time, a friend of mine who is a journalist, who was covering that event as at that time, he said by the time he got there, they were out. All the rooms at Ibeju Lekki were booked. So the place he got just to spend the night, he paid 60,000 naira. That shows you 60,000 for just one night. So if rooms that are not up to standard, okay, can charge 60,000 naira per night, imagine what will come, or imagine the worth of properties or the worth of hotels reservation in that area when that place becomes fully operational. So as a smart investor, you can look at the Akodo area, and pick one or two investments or multiple investments in the area. Another region you should also look at basically is the Eleko axis. Now the Eleko is, more importantly, is like the central and the heart of Ibeju Lekki, because if you're going towards Epe, you're going to drive past the Eleko axis. If you're going towards the refinery, the free trade zone, the deep seaport axis, you're also going to drive past towards the Eleko axis. And if you're going towards the Aja, the Lekki Phase 1 axis, you're also going to drive towards the Eleko axis. So the Eleko axis is like the heart of Ibeju Lekki. So having multiple properties or one or two real estate investments in Lekko will not be a bad idea. Now, we've said this, and you need to understand basically that the reason why we're explaining this is because of the fact that we as a brand, we have companies that we have certified their titles. Our lawyers have checked it, they are confirmed, they are safe for investment. So in case you want to do an investment in the areas I've mentioned, you are free to give us a call. You can contact us, and of course we share some of these documents if you want to verify it with your lawyer or your surveyor. So these are some. Of course, Ekpe is also another fantastic location you should extend or you should diversify to. Ekpe basically is like an entity on its own, but I was amazed when I found out last year that the Lagos State government is also connecting the road from the refinery down to the Alaro axis of Ekpe, and this road will connect you to Ekpe. So the implication of this basically, or the advantage of this basically, is that you can walk and live in Ekpe and still work at Ibeju Lekki because of the proximity of the road that was just recently commissioned. Now, these are some of the things I want to explain to you about diversification. Now, how should you diversify? You see, I've explained a whole lot of things, and when it comes to real estate investments, we have different major players, different major actors in this industry. Like they always say that you can always separate the boys from the men. You can always separate the powerful from the weak. In this our industry, this application is very similar. We have some brands that are the powerful. We have the brands that they can withstand any pressure and any form of controversies or policy differences. They can adequately undo that, despite the fact that it's coming from the government. And we have other brands that to an extent, if there's a problem whether with government or Omonile or any other actors of real estate, they may not have the adequate capacity to handle this. This is one of the reasons why I was actually explaining to you investors that you see, it is always dangerous to buy property because it is cheap. Number one, you don't even understand the reason why the property is being sold very cheap. Number two, many people don't even understand the location of where the property is. And number three, many people don't even understand the status of the properties that they're buying. Now, I'm not saying all cheap properties fall into the category. Don't misquote me. But what I'm saying is that in this our present Lagos, Nigeria, when a property is relatively cheap, there is some factors that may not be obvious when you are being told. And this was one of the reasons why I said that it is not every property or every video you see on YouTube or any other social media platform you patronize. Let me quickly reiterate this fact so that you can understand that things are not always what they seem in Lagos. Things are not always what they see when somebody is advertising a property to you. You see, there is much more to what you are seeing on your screen, whether it is YouTube or any other thing you have seen the property from. And you need to understand basically that the Nigerian real estate industry as at this moment is not regulated. So we have tendencies whereby a whole lot of people do things that they ought not to do and they get away with it. That is just the reality of how things are being done. Now, there are some certain locations that if you want to buy or if you want to invest, you see, you need to consider the brand that is selling. There are some places in Ibeju Lekki, there are some places in Lekki that if some certain companies approach me and say they're selling, I won't even bother listening to them. Not because of the fact that I don't believe in them, but I know very well that there are some factors that will happen, that may happen in the future. If you are not reputable, if you are not strong, if you are not part of those men that I mentioned when I started this conversation, you may not be able to answer or adequately resolve any future challenges that comes. I've seen instances whereby lands have been sold for a while and the people that bought the property want to go and work in that property, and the family or the other aggrieved members of the people that sold the property to them started having issues, to the point that these guys went as far as Lagos Island to bring some talks. And as I'm talking to you right now, the property is under a siege. And it was just quite unfortunate that the developer that sold to them does not have a solution to the answer to the challenges that's presently happening. So when it comes to real estate, more importantly, there are some locations. So there are some locations that I will mention. And if you are investing in this location, you need to put into consideration the capacity of the company that is selling to you. And when you look at this, now when you look at the Lekki axis, real estate activities have dominated the online scene, which is very good. But you see, the Lekki axis, the people that have bought property there are people that I know, or some companies that have bought property there are companies that I'm confident of the fact that wherever there are any issues or any disagreement with the family or people that have sold, these companies have the capacity to handle that situation. So it is not every company that have properties along the Lekki axis that have, settling land disputes is beyond talking or beyond assurance that most people tell you when they want you to buy. Listen, you need to understand that there are some capacity or there are some crises that may happen in the property a developer has sold to you, that the developer may need to take the case to Abuja. There are some situations that will happen in a particular estate that the developer may need to speak directly to the governor by himself. There are some situations that will happen in some estates that the developer may need to spend hundreds of millions of naira. So this is why I always come online to explain to you that it is not every developer that is selling to you that have the capacity to tackle or settle any issues or disputes that may happen in the future. So you see, when I was talking about separating the boys from the men, it's not just about selling. It's about selling the property, keeping control of the property, and maximizing the interest of the property. And the most important thing, keeping Omonile away from the property for as long as that property exists. So you need to understand that in this our industry, a lot of people don't have the capacity, a lot of companies don't have the capacity to solve problems. So you need to put a whole lot of things into consideration. And that's why I usually pity real estate investors who buy because it is relatively cheap, or who buy because they are convinced to do so. You see, the strength, the energy, the connection, the wealth of the company you're buying from, a situation will happen in the future that the reason why they will be able to answer that situation, number one, is because they have the connection, they know the necessary people. I know a real estate developer that if his property, if his property is excision or his property is even freehold, I will buy from that developer because I've seen that this developer have shown us track record of how he has gotten C of O ceaselessly from Alausa Ministry of Lands and Housing in Lagos State, Nigeria. So you see, not all the real estate developers have the capacity to do so. So the reputation and of course the strength, the capacity, the connect of the developer matters. More importantly, those who are buying from the Lekki Ekpe axis, the Ayetoro axis, the Eleko axis, the Lekki axis, the Aja axis, the Abramadation axis, even Ekpe. Of course, some places in Ekpe, that obviously was an icon. So you need to understand that these are some of the indices you need to consider. There are some places you want to buy that you ask me, and I will tell you, buy from this company buy from this company. Not because of the fact that I don't trust other companies, but I've seen instances how land disputes have happened and some real estate companies in Nigeria have not been able to handle it, and that dispute is still ongoing. But there are some people that Omonile don't dare raise their finger because they know before they start, they are coming all the way from Abuja to pick them up and, of course, handle the case in the unpleasant way which they want. So Omonile is sometimes too in the open eye. They know who to attack and who not to attack. So this is where I'm going to draw the curtain of today's episode of property diversification and what you should consider when you are diversifying. Until I come your way again in the next property matters, do well to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I'll see you. Bye. Have a nice day. God bless you.